What's up? What's up? What's up, guys? Tuning in here on a Friday. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your almost weekend. I'm gonna wait a few moments, doing a little wrenching on some 8-scale e-buggy stuff, getting it prepped up for the E-Nationals. What are you all doing on your Friday afternoon? Who's in the office? Who's working? Or who's at the racetrack? What's up, Adam, Ricky, Daniel? Work, work, work. Sweet. Yeah, so we're gonna do full run through the last couple events, some upcoming stuff, talk about some e-buggy setup stuff, some nitro buggy setup, talk about some 10 scale. For those who have any questions regarding any of that stuff, don't hesitate to just throw it in the comments. I'm gonna go back throughout this whole video and answer some questions. Hopefully, help you guys out. Currently watching some F1, getting some wrenching done. Yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend. So looks like we got some people in here, which is great. The last event that I was at was actually the Visions Mid America Outdoor, I believe is what it's officially called. Very different format than normal. It's a kind of an invitational style racing, like the Reedy Race format, heads up racing for 3 rounds. For qualifying, kind of random orientation of the grid. With then what the finishing orders are, will put you into the main events to crown an overall champion. For those who haven't been out to Oklahoma, I believe it was Jay, Oklahoma. You're basically in the middle of nowhere. There's not really many ideal places to really eat. But the cool thing about it is the compound that this guy has is absolutely incredible. There's rally cars, dirt bikes, all kinds of off-road vehicles, side by sides that you can rent, camp there at the site, completely no rules basically. The event itself, I think, I don't think it was a complete sellout. I think the invitational class was maxed out, but we had maybe 12 or 14 heats, something of that sort. The format is actually really cool if you're able to win each qualify for the intermediate class. You get to win like $1,000 per TQ, and then there's an overall TQ that gets to make the cash payout. So Yeah, we ended up kind of running. I ended up running basically my baseline package from like Thunder Alley and the Paris track. We kind of been tuning with running like the third hole on the arm for those who run 8 scale. As you can see, we ended up drilling a third hole out here. Um, the spring of choice for just baseline stuff, the associated pink spring, which is the softest one we make, is a decent starting point. The spring that I've been liking, it seems at a couple different tracks. I ran it at Thunder Alley. I ran it at Paris, the dirt track, and then the Nationals, which was a super high bite, which I definitely think I could have gone stiffer there, but I ran it the whole time. I thought it was good. It felt balanced. Was the Techno Yellow Spring, which is their buggy Yellow Spring. It's 1.5 millimeter wire diameter, which is changing the frequency. So for those who are interested in trying the third hole on the arm, I definitely recommend getting a couple of the different Techno buggy rear springs. Techno Pink and Techno Orange is probably the two you should get. Techno Yellow is pretty soft. Techno Orange is a little bit stiffer, and then Pink would be one step stiffer after that. AE Pink. So definitely some new things that we've been working on as far as just getting the car more comfortable and more different surfaces. Of course, for those who are trying to think about getting into 8 scale, the new kind of limited run 8 scale car that we released was the RC8B4, but it's the RWB conversion. So basically, you get the RWB chassis, which you want for sure, and then the bones to compensate for the new location with the center diff. For me, ever since I've gone to the RWB chassis for the 8 scale stuff, my results and consistency have skyrocketed. For me, it's a lot more consistent from track to track. It allows more weight to go on the rear tires to actually make rear traction. If you want your car to go straight out of the corner after you come out of the 180, it's basically a no-brainer to get your hands on one. If you're wanting to build a new kit, we actually offer a limited time run at the Associated's on Associated's website. So I'm not really sure what how many we have, but definitely check out your options on getting a chassis at the least, converting over your car for the summer racing, um, and you'll be kind of dialed in. The one thing I know Ben was just asking, do you have to dial in a lot more steering? One of the things that I've been doing when rebalancing the vehicle out is actually softening the front end a ton. So running a lot softer front spring, which helps the car jump so much better. It doesn't kick the car out when you're going through bumps. It's a lot more plush and more supple to drive. The other piece that I really like about the RWB chassis kind of layout is that you're kind of able to make the front end softer, but then make the rear end a little bit stiffer to help with kind of drive out of the corner. Um, I feel like before our old car chassis design just didn't really make much natural traction. So you have to make the rear end really soft to make traction. But there's consequences to running the car really soft in the rear because when you make the car soft in the rear, there's problems when jumping off faces of jumps. And then when you introduce like bumpy or ruddy tracks, it kind of makes a car squirm instead of like grip and go. So that's a big key factor. I mean, we're running a lot softer front end stuff. So like white front spring or even green. I ran green over the weekend, which we do sell on offer. Or you can even start running like the Hot Bodies yellow front spring, which I know Richard's been really running a lot in California. Um, but again, like for this summertime, for those who run in like the East Coast, the traction level, if you're running on blues or aquas, then you're kind of in a good ballpark for the same style stuff. So, um, white and green front springs would be good options for you guys to try. We'll probably get another a setup sheet out posted from like the Nationals or like the Thunder Alley and Lake Paris, the dirt track, to just get like a summer setup sheet out for you guys. Um, the drilling the arm is one of the biggest things. And I was kind of against it until I re-ran it again and ran the proper spring to make more natural traction. So I can totally see people trying it out, running the right spring. Techno yellow is what I've been liking or preferring. And like actually in Oklahoma, I actually ended up racing with the yellow spring and then ended up switching to pinks kind of late in the event. And totally, if you feel like the rear end's kind of dragging, you can totally run the stiffer spring, go up in oil. Summertime racing is completely different than winter. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of different things that change with obviously the weather, but the track, even though it might look the same, the dirt just creates different kinds of grip, and so the car needs to be supported in different ways. So yellow front spring would be the HB yellow if you wanted to go that soft, or and then the rear spring is the Techno yellow buggy rear spring. So the other thing that I've also been kind of noticing or kind of dipping into is I feel like summertime racing, it's definitely a possibility that you can start looking into running the HTC style diffs. If the grip is really defined grippy. If it's loamy and there's kitty litter on top, I would always recommend running the LTC diffs. But for HTC, I ended up running HTC at or in Oklahoma for the Visions race. I ended up running 6K in the front diff, 10 in the center, and 5 in the rear, or maybe it was 4. But definitely no higher than 5. So for for the springs for the T4E, I actually am running the AE green rear spring in Truggy, E-Truggy and Nitro Truck, and then the Techno, I got my Truggy up there, the Techno pink front spring for truck. You can run AE gray or blue if you wanted to, but Techno front spring pink is kind of what I've been running. One second. I know people have been asking me about the new Hobbywing G3 X-Ray Pro G3 speed control. I actually just got mine delivered the other day. That's what I'm currently doing. I'm currently going to be converting my e-buggy over to the new speed control. So this is just the current model. I'm going to take this out and show you guys a different size of the speed control, because it is substantially smaller, and super excited because all this electronics out there on the market are just so big. So here is the current speed control, and here's the new one. you can see the different size difference. The footprint is actually smaller. I can get kind of some dimensions for you guys if I can find my calipers. So the speed control overall diameter on the current model is 56 millimeters, and then on the new one it's 54, so 2 millimeters smaller in length, 37 millimeters width. So 37 millimeters is the width on the new one, and then 42 is the old one. So 5 millimeters. Difference in width. So definitely we'll be able to have some more room to do some different kind of wiring. That's going to be really nice. So going to be putting that in my car today. Get some photos up for you guys, but kind of like a before and after photo, which I think will be really cool. If you're looking to kind of upgrade electronics package, check out the new Hobbywing XR8 Pro G3. Believe it should be dropping very, very soon. So the only time that I haven't we kind of don't really mix match the gear sets. I know the car 8-scale cars come with the 4212. I've been running the 4413 with just a different kind of power band that we've been kind of looking for. We were eventually, or we've been playing with a little bit different spur gears, some 47s and 48s to just kind of get a little bit more punch, but with the old gear set. So I definitely think that will be kind of the new standard at some point, the 4413. One thing also to consider is that, depending on the track size, if you need a lot more punch, then the 4212 is the way to go. The 4413 is definitely a lot smoother. It takes a little bit longer for the engine to wind up. I actually think it's really good in e-buggy, the 4413. I think it actually runs a little more efficient. So get your hands on some 4413 gear sets. The XR8 SCT replacement, it is basically the new replacement of the main speed control. There's been tons of power durability testing has been done. That's smaller speed control. The G3 is basically stronger and better than anything that we've ever offered. And it's smaller, so it's fits for short course, fits for 8-scale buggy, fits for 8-scale truck. It's basically our latest and greatest. What else do we have here? So yeah, the speed control is available online. It's actually just double check that. So thanks, Ryan, for confirming that. When I received it last week, I didn't seem like it was available. We have people tuning in from the Netherlands. Yeah, so on my e-buggy, I have the 4413 with a um, with a 15 gear ratio. So 15 tooth pinion, 46 spur, 44 13 ring and pinion. When you run the aluminum hubs, you don't have to make any Dremel marks, but the plastic hubs, you basically make clearance at full up travel so you can articulate the ball cup. Let's talk about the pit stop that Jackson and I did. Yeah, that was actually the pit stop that we did. Um, that was in 2019 during or 2020 during like um, the COVID era when there wasn't anything to really do in the West Coast. Everything was kind of shut down, but the East Coast, we kind of were able to get out, do some social media, try to stay active. One of the things that we kind of were doing was a little more TikToks. I ended up deleting TikTok a long time ago, just because it was taking up too much of my time with just watching funny videos. So I don't have TikTok anymore. I may re-download it to do some videos. I know Troy from A Main has been doing tons of awesome videos. Um, so there's definitely a lot of some stuff to do, but people love the pit stop challenge. There was a guy that ended up doing one that ended up going pretty viral, hundreds of tens of millions of views, maybe even hundreds of millions. I'm not 100% sure that got a lot of traction. So I was kind of thinking that maybe we can get something fun going, do a pit stop challenge, get your best pit guy in there. And I'm not normally a pit guy, but when I'm driving, I like envision what a pit guy should do, and then I like to kind of execute that, and then that's kind of what we ended up doing. We ended up doing a couple of different versions. It wasn't just a one shot wonder, unfortunately, but it was pretty sweet. Jackson came into the pits. I told him to kind of just jump straight. I would catch it with my one hand. I obviously was wearing gloves because I need my hands to perform. And then I forgot who was there. I think Cole Ogden was there, and then Mike McKenzie was actually the camera girl. It was actually pretty cool. I really can't complain. There was a lot of fun times what we did in Georgia. Went to Savannah, did a Phil Hurd challenge race, that which is really cool in Savannah, Georgia. Lots of good times. The servos that I actually use are the Savox 12 or 2260. Actually, let me confirm. Yeah, Savox 2290. Definitely hands down best servos I've ever ran. Um, they are literally unbreakable as far as just making some serious, especially the 8 scale. I've actually had one go bad, but I was running it for a year and a half, 2 years, so it probably had, I don't know, six, 6 to 8 gallons of running on it, a runtime. So, um, tons of hours of racing. I've been basically running 5-hole pistons. 5-hole pistons and 6-hole pistons is my go-to. What part of the car do I focus on while driving? Honestly, I don't even really know what I really look at when I'm driving the car. I mean, I would say just mostly just kind of the whole vision of the vehicle and kind of getting to see what all four corners are doing. Um, yeah, it's really challenging to know who or what's looking at what. What else do we have? I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you can please like and share the video to your friends, it only helps out my YouTube and Facebook page out. I know it's been shared on this Team Associated page. We're also doing some stuff that's a little bit differently. Going forward, we'll have some stuff posted on the A Main Hobbies page to get some new genre of people. Looks like it wasn't able to work today, but they ended up getting it shared anyways. So big shout out to both Associated and A Main Hobbies. I know they've been both those companies have been supporting me for a long time. Always cool to see J Concepts and the crew tuning in here as well. Yeah, just a great group of people. So the servos that I run in 10 scale, I'm actually currently building a new 10 scale 2-wheel drive car. I actually use the Savox 1262 servo. You see my cool wiring job I got here. Waiting on some turnbuckles. But I guess we can kind of switch over talking about some 10 scale stuff. There's been some new parts that have been released that I'm super stoked for. I ended up actually getting into the new stadium truck and short course kits, which is the new angled top deck and balsa mount. If Brent is watching or if someone in the comments wants to be the hero, I can also check as well. But the part numbers we can get for you guys, get them. If they're not at your hobby shops, you can purchase them through Associated site. I'm sure people are going to be going bananas over them. Kind of talk about kind of um, what's kind of different about the new top deck and balsa mount. Here it is. So, and the part numbers. What is going on? Seven one two. So I just posted some part numbers in the comments for those who are here for the 10 scale side of things. We offer them sweets. Yeah, Daniel, appreciate you doing that. You are the man. We have plastic. We offer plastic ones and carbon. I've been building all my cars with the carbon parts. Not saying that the plastic stuff won't get the job done. I actually believe in a little bit more of the rigidity aspect. I'd rather have the car kind of as stiff as possible and then kind of tune the shocks to. There you go, Diesel. My dog needs to get out. Come on. Tune the car to make it as stiff as possible and then tune the shocks to fine tune. Especially when you're running on the grip levels we run on 10 scale. Obviously, in 8 scale, there's some things that come into play. There's some durability issues when things are very hard. But for 10 scale, I run everything hard side rails, hard arms, top deck, the diff cases, everything that we really offer. It's definitely a little on the expensive side to upgrade your stuff. If I had to take some pieces of what's really important to purchase, I'd probably say the side guards and the front and rear arms would be like first, second, and then like the gearboxes would be third, as far as that point goes. For four-wheel drive, I run all the carbon parts in that as well, but I would say as far as like priorities, I'd probably upgrade the gearboxes first because the carbon gearboxes the carbon material is a lot lighter than the plastic material. So for four-wheel drive, for those who want to save a ton of weight because four-wheel drive is just naturally heavy, the gearboxes would be the first thing I would do, and then center splines, and then arms. Go from there. My dad's going to Costco to pick up some tri-tip for dinner. That's what I like to hear. Making it happen. Jackson Brunson has a question about the gym because we've been hammering, although I missed one day this week. Question: when you get done at the gym, do you take ibuprofen like Adam Peters? I do not. Although I am a little bit younger than he is, and I don't have kids, so I'm sure the ibuprofen keeps him up to speed throughout the day. Okay, so we got some questions. We got to get off the some stuff here. I actually built my truck. I'm still waiting on. I'm still waiting on some Kashima shocks for my truck, so I have not put the shocks on it, but I have everything built. I'll have to keep an eye on that, so I'll make a note on that and then get back with some people if I find something. I mean, but although I am putting the I put the buggy towers on. I'm gonna run the buggy front shock and truck rear shock, which has been my normal routine. I did my sway bar modification mod. Rear sway bar is on there, so I'm kind of slowly getting this thing built up and ready for the Roar Nationals. The T6 build was awesome. Super stoked on getting the truck out for you guys. So back to the top deck. For those who are just tuning in, we were talking about the new angled top deck for the B6.4 series vehicle. So the T6.4 and the SC, the short course truck comes with a new angled top deck, but the buggy does not. Highly recommend all you guys that are driving the B6.4 to upgrade to the angled top deck and balsa mount. I'm running carbon. You guys can choose what you guys would like. It kind of improves and makes the bump steer a little bit more efficient, especially the feeling of what it's actually doing for how the car's bumping through the suspension as the shocks are going up and down through the travel. Especially for high grip, it's really sensitive. Makes it a lot more predictable and smooth. For those who have said that there's been some different kind of characteristics feeling with the B6.4, and they liked how their old B6 kind of felt like, this is kind of doing a fix of that sort to make everything kind of in conjunction work, more meshing together. So check out the new angled top deck. Their part numbers are posted in the comments. There's also a link that Daniel ended up putting in here, which was awesome. Yeah, PDA definitely could build that. Still in a box, brand new. Kyle, are you referring? Have they been running these on buggy? I'm not sure what you mean by that particular question. If you're talking about the angled top deck, we have been running them on buggy. Because we've received some samples the last couple months, month and a half. I ended up using it at the Roar Nationals on carpet. I ended up using it at the April Fool's race, and then I ended up using it at the One Up Challenge. Yeah. Can you talk about the difference between the notes of using the Reds engines? To be honest, I've been absolutely so pleased with how everything's been feeling with the Reds engines. You know, I never had any really big problems with running the OS stuff. This had nothing really to do with you know, financial gain or being different. It was just purely basing everything off feel and comfortability and consistency. Um, I felt that when I started to test the Reds engine of how much it felt like 10 scale, like the power band was really smooth and crisp, but also didn't have the excessive power to have a lot of wheel spin to get you into trouble. In my opinion, the way the materials are with the Reds and how the engines are designed and made, I feel like that the tuning window is not as sensitive as the OS engines. I'm not gonna say it's like more dummy proof, but I feel like when I'm at an event, um, in years past, that there's if the temperature's changing a bunch of degrees or humidity or whatever, I was always having to make a tuning adjustment. But with these, I feel like the window is a lot bigger. There's obviously some compromises I feel like I'm seeing. My fuel mileage has been about the same, but it feels that with the OS stuff, I was able to maybe tune the engine a little bit faster, and then I can get better fuel mileage. And with the Reds engines, I can see that I can't necessarily tune them to go faster. They're kind of basically where they're at, they're where they're at, and they have a window. Um, at Silver State, I ended up going 9 minutes. Not many people were able to go nine. The Psycho Nitro Blast main event, and having a issue at the end anyways, but I had really good fuel mileage on that. So yeah, I mean I think for the most part, the engines have been honestly the best thing that I could have ever done in my 8 scale program. I feel like my consistency with driving them, when probably a side story most people don't know about, but Mayfa and I go to the track all the time together. And when he was kind of switching from Mugen to Techno or considering it, I was considering, wanted to test out the Reds engines. And, I asked him to help observe the testing, wanted to hear his input on what he saw. And then I ended up doing the same thing for him, kind of watching him drive both vehicles, making some assessments, some notes. Um, and he was kind of saying like he was really shocked on how everything went for the testing with the engines. He thought that when I was driving with the Reds engines that I didn't nearly make as many mistakes. It was a lot more consistent. The engines ran really consistent, had plenty of power. We even bought a speedometer gun, because it kind of sounds like the engines aren't actually like screaming as loud as the Reds, but on the straightaways, everything kind of matched to the same miles per hour wise as the OS stuff. So for those who think that they're not as fast, that's totally not true because we did it hand on hand. But they do sound different, which is what it is. Um, but yeah, the tunabilities with the different pipes they have, they make great clutch parts. Totally been sold on the Reds. So for those who have any questions with the red stuff, don't hesitate to ask. They do. They've been kind of my engine that I just been running probably has 5 gallons on it, so I'm gonna get it repinched, or I'll probably start breaking another motor um, to get ready for like the summer racing. So I ended up changing one Conrod on one of my engines from DNC, and it was perfect. A-Main Hobbies tuning in the house here. Let's see what they have to say. Just a heads up, we are building a new 10-scale racing facility in Chico that will feature off-road dirt and carpet racing, oval racing, and even an asphalt on-road racing. This should be completed sometime in late November, early December. Well, for those who want to have a full ridiculous compound, we're gonna go check out A-Main Hobbies. It's gonna be awesome. We'll have to get J Concepts, NCTS, or INS in that facility. The Power Band, I feel like is just more usable power. It feels really linear, really crisp. But one thing I will say is the fuel. I ran a couple different style fuels with VP. The VP Pro Race blend is definitely the better race blend for these engines. 100%. I am not running any bump steer washers. I mean, I'm running 25 kickup and 0 caster. I don't think you need any bump steer washers for that. But if you run more caster, then yes, you would. Part numbers are in the comments. You should be able to see a link to between carbon and plastic. What is going on here? Braking front lower arms on the RC8 T4E. If I change the plate, will that help if I'm braking? I'm not sure if you're talking about the carbon plate or the A plate mount. I'm not 100% sure. But if you are breaking the arms, you can always boil the parts in a pot for 5 minutes. Boiling water. The angle top deck is actually only changing what is going on with the bell cranks, mechanically, physically with the bell cranks. Everything else is all in the same spot. Give me 1 second. The single mount plate for the motor for e-buggy is some weight savings. Give me 1 moment. I'm texting Kurt Wenger about some parts that I'm trying to see. So saving some weight with the one clamp. Chris Wheeler, that's a big negative. I already clean enough, rebuild enough cars. Dave, you're the man. Tuning in, getting some part numbers out there for some people. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the A main facility doing the new tracks. It's gonna be awesome. There's a lot of comments here. I'm sorry. I'm like reading all these things. People are tuning in. My pit is currently a mess. I'm not really sure if you're able to see, but currently working on some diff stuff. Einhorn tuning in. What do we think about communication headsets for Tenska races? Communication between the drivers. We kind of talk some smack, get in their heads a little bit would be awesome. Mm-mm. Yeah, I'm running the third hole in the arm on both e-buggy and nitro buggy. So yes, both. For those who are gonna attempt to do the third hole, you have to make sure that you make enough clearance so that this part is enough room for like the shock rod end to have articulation. So obviously the gap between inside hole and outside hole would be the same from middle hole to even the third hole. So that's kind of like your judgment of drilling. PD needs all the help he can get. How long does it take to prep a car for an event? You know, it just depends. Sometimes I'll work on it really early in the morning, start on it, go do something around the house, work on it, do something, or I'll just bust it out. If it's an 8 skill car, it probably takes almost all day to really get everything dialed in. A 10 skill car, if you're prepping, probably a half a day, because not only are you prepping, you're getting stuff ready for an event. If it's tires, I mean, it's so much more than just the car. Making sure you have the right parts, the right oils. Um, it's a lot. You know, turning on your radio, making sure everything's charged, make sure all the endpoints are set. What ProTech batteries do you use for 10 scale? In my dirt two-wheel buggy, I run the 6400 Stadium Truck 6400. On carpet, I run the Slim Packs, which is the 4600. I've been kind of testing and tuning a little bit with the 5000 milliamp battery. I think that's gonna option, no question about it. Yeah, Aiden, I am definitely going to be serving at around 10. No question about it. Back to this question about do we change the battery depending on the size? The biggest thing that we do about the batteries is just kind of getting in the right window of the weight. Obviously, for carpet, you want low CG. but good power. So the 4600 and 5000 is a great option for dirt. I seem to like the bigger battery. Obviously, the bigger the battery, the more power you have, and the longer it lasts. So you have that going for you. And then, of course, whatever you have to do to make minimum weight. So for those who run stock that lighten their cars up like crazy, you might need the bigger battery just to even pass minimum weight at some of these races. Yeah, we're gonna get some the setup sheets for the e-truggy. We'll have to get something done for sure. The biggest thing for truggy is I've been running basically the same nitro truggy setup, but for e-truggy, I know for like the center diff, you can easily run like 30K because of the big tires and the heavy vehicle. No question about it. Dave, I prefer the big battery with no weight on dirt versus the little battery, just because the power just feels more right for me. I mean, if I charge you for a race, it's just generic charging, nothing to get it like fully. I'll 2 days before. I mean, at least charging your radio battery. Chris Wheeler is asking if I'm thinking about getting the Losi bike. I think it looks pretty cool. I'll probably wait to see it from some friends first. Um, I'm not even sure if I'm really allowed to use it, to be quite honest with you. I'll have to talk it over with headquarters. But no, I mean I'm all for it. Anything that helps the hobby out. Getting people in RC. If it pulls in some people, some kids from the dirt bike world to get a dirt bike, and then they see an RC car and they want to get in, I'm all for it. Or if people see an RC car and they like the dirt bike and they want to go do it, I'm all for that as well. Um, Anybody that wants to come and play and have some fun. Tuning in from Switzerland, for those who are on Facebook, you probably don't see this comment, but want to know what changes the narrow changing hexes do going narrow versus wider front and rear. I mean, just think of it as the way I look at it is the wider the vehicle, the less weight transfer the car has onto each tire. So if you make the front end narrower, off power, there's going to be more weight loaded onto the front tires. If it was wider off power, it wouldn't transfer as much weight. And then if you run the rear end narrower, the more you get on the gas, and the weight will go back furthermore. And if it was wider, it wouldn't transfer as much weight to the back. So it's all about weight transfer, really. There's really not a huge thing to really go down as far as explanation. Wider cars more stable. Um, Narrow cars less stable. Just generic stuff like that. But again, just try it. Go 5 millimeters wider. Go 5 millimeters narrower, and just see what happens. If I'm not using titanium screws, I'm using just steel screws. Yeah, for e-truggy, you can totally get away with running the one mount. The mounts that we offer are so heavy duty. They're not gonna it's not gonna move or anything as long as you're making sure they're tight. Obviously, with the Hobby Wing motor can, they're very, very strong and thick, so they're not going to really damage the motor can. I'm not sure what most of you guys are using, but I would definitely just double check. But for the most part, I think everyone's usually all good. Kevin King, did I get any new J's recently? No, unfortunately, I've taken a pump the brakes, taken a break on the shoe buying purchase. we're trying to buy a house, so I gotta save my pennies. That's funny. All this talking, can't get my card done here. Hopefully, you guys at SDRC are liking the new kind of sealed track. Hopefully, I've heard some great things from Brent and Cavallari. Anthony, I ended up racing the RWB chassis at the Roar Nationals, so super high bite and grooved, and it was dialed. If it works on that, it's gonna work on everything. For diffos on carpet, I believe I was running 5,000 in the front and then 100,000 in the rear is what I ran last time I ran carpet for 4-wheel drive, and then like between 80 and 100,000 for 2-wheel. The angled Boston mount or the angled top deck is a no-brainer to get the front of the 2-wheel drive. For sure, 100% put on order. People are liking the glued. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was basically a no-brainer. Tracks are gonna do the seal thing, unless the track's already really good. But the sealant is the way to go. Anthony, I know and I hear you on that one, but let me tell you, it's a huge improvement. It's a really complex piece. Glad that we ended up implementing that in the trucks. Obviously, the buggies come with the old one, but it's a no-brainer. I typically only balance my 8-scale tires, 8-scale truggy specifically. But if it gets serious, we'll do some buggy stuff. Well, man, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, for those who give it a like, thank you so much. Share it if you can. We're streaming both on YouTube and Facebook. For those who are looking to get an 8-scale, check out the new Team Associate RC8B4 RWB conversion. It's a limited run. It comes with the chassis and the center bones that you need. For those who are running 10-scale, the latest and greatest thing is getting the new angled top deck. Part numbers are listed in the comments, and there's some links. I run the carbon parts on all my vehicles, so we offer both carbon and plastic. Getting everything dialed in. We kind of talked about the new Hobbywing G3 speed control, RX8 Pro G3. I'm going to do a before and after photo of the wiring. I'm super stoked on that. Finishing up the rear clip now, getting it all prepped up. And yeah, that was basically it. I'm basically done here, guys. As always, it's always a pleasure seeing you guys tune in here. We basically had 100 viewers at one point, averaged around 90, so that's pretty awesome. So the next event that you guys will see me at will be the E-Nationals. Looking forward to racing some E-Truggy and E-Buggy. Should be pretty awesome. It's going to be in New York, so hopefully the weather is decent around this time. Maybe not. Who knows? Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.